Mr. Jack Shore. There he is.
Yes,
How are you?
Ariel.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing great. Boy, I felt the wrath of the great Richard Shore last week, your father and head coach, who felt like I was not giving you enough love heading into your return fight in the UFC. I was a little afraid. So I just want to let you know and let Richard know I am sorry. Mea culpa. This will never happen again. You are, and you don't need to be on my radar, but you are firmly on the radar right now, my friend. Congratulations on the great win.
Yes, thank you. You have to bear with him, Ariel. He's stressed out fight week. He's awful irritable, and he's getting even worse in his old age. So I'm sure he'll accept your apology, no problem at all.
And, I was talking about how a lot of the Cage Warriors alumni as of late hadn't been faring well in the UFC. And I love Cage Warriors. They're the best, in my opinion, regional, and that's not a knock, but like European, American, they're the best of the best. And they have produced some of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport. I just said as of late. And honestly, I didn't mention you. I think I mentioned you later on. I didn't mention Tom. That was my fault. Anyway, Richard called me out. Fair play. He deserved to call me out. That's my bad. Let's talk about what happened on Saturday. Great win. Another great win for you. Still undefeated. But man, oh man, you're banged up. You got the cast on? There it is.
Cast on.
Jeez, what do you got? Broken thumb and an injured shoulder?
Yeah, so broken thumb, I think I did that in the first round. And to be honest, I think it happened because my shoulder I was in so much pain throwing with the shoulder. I wasn't throwing my left up tidy. I couldn't get my elbow enough. And I've ended up obviously cracking him with the side of my hand and completely snapped my thumb at the base. So jeez. I'm 6 weeks in a cast with that now, and waiting on an MRI scan next week to see the full extent of the damage on the shoulder. So considering it was a pretty straightforward victory, it's probably the most banged up I've been coming out of a fight, to be honest.
How close were you to pulling out of the fight?
So the shoulder initially happened about 2.5 weeks before the fight, and the first sort of 2 or 3 days after the injury happened, it was horrendous with the pain. I couldn't lift my arm, I had no movement. I couldn't even get on the treadmill without any pain. So we were close, but obviously because it's such a big card in terms of the UK talent and a lot of eyes on it, I didn't really want to pull. I'd had a lot of adversity with opponent changes and stuff like that, and I just thought if I can go out there, get to Vegas early, make use of the PI and sort of see if they can get my arm in a situation and a position where I can, even use it at 50%. I wanted to make sure I could get out there and fight. So my coaches were monitoring me closely. They wanted me to pull, but stubborn as ever, I sort of put my foot down. I was like, look, I'm going out there. And obviously when I was in Vegas, there was no way I was ever going to pull once I was out there anyway. But looking back, obviously it could have gone wrong, but thankfully, we made it through.
And mentally, what was it like? Like at any point in the fight, were you like, oh my gosh, this is more pain than I've ever experienced in a fight before? I'm sure adrenaline is pumping. You're feeling good. You're trying to get the W, but just the mental hurdle of trying to fight, not only then with the injured shoulder, but the injured thumb as well. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was tough. Like, obviously, I had the arm triangle in the first round, and I thought, right, this might be my chance now to get a quick win and obviously get out here before the shoulder goes. But as soon as I started squeezing, I could feel it. And then as soon as I went back to the corner at the end of the first round, the pain was just getting worse and worse as the fight was going on. Every jab I was throwing, it was getting more restricted. The pain was starting to shoot up into my trap, up into my neck. And I thought, right, we've just got to sort of hit cruise control here and just keep him away from me and rack the points up. But it was, it's a bad one when you're feeling the pain and your adrenaline's pumping. Usually those sort of things don't start to hurt till after the fight. Like, by the end of the third, I couldn't clench my fist because of the thumb, and I couldn't lift my arm because of the shoulders. So the wrestling and the grappling was something I had to avoid dearly. Being against such a good wrestler as well, it was starting to get a little bit edgy in the mind towards the end of the second and the third when he started to shoot for takedowns, and because I had no strength against the cage, I was trying to go right arm heavy. I was struggling to under up, struggling to do anything with my left arm and my left hand. So it was a tough one on the mind, but obviously, touch wood, we got through it and managed to get a win.
Surgery needed?
I'm not sure. I've spoke to a couple of the guys at the PI. I've spoke to a couple of local physiotherapists, and a lot of them are saying if it is the bicep tendon, it could be surgery. But obviously, I won't know the full extent until I get the MRI done. I'm in an ideal world, I can avoid surgery, but if that's what I've got to do to make sure it's right and it doesn't become a reoccurring problem, then obviously I'll have to just bite the bullet and get it done. Thankfully, the thumb is on the same hand as the bicep and the shoulder, so at least it can all sort of get done at one time. I won't want to be walking around in a sling on one arm and a cast on the other.
Right.
So it's one of them areas. I've just gotta wait for the doctors, get this scan done, and go from there. It's not ideal because obviously I would have liked to fought again before the end of the year. I feel like I'm in a good spot now to push towards those rankings, but it's just a small bump in the road.
So how big of a deal is this situation for you in Wales right now? Undefeated in the UFC. I know it's not the biggest country in the world. I think I looked it up, 3 million people. I know they backed you even when you were in Cage Warriors. They used to have big crowds, bigger than Conor ever got when he was Cage Warriors champion in Ireland. But right now, with a win like this, to continue your undefeated streak, not only in the UFC, but in your entire career, are you starting to feel a lot of support, a lot of buzz, a lot of hype surrounding you?
Yeah, the support in Wales, like you said, has always been mad. But the last week or so, building up to the fight and after the fight, it's been unbelievable. BBC Wales, stuff like that, all the big news outlets over here now want to jump on the bandwagon. But the support back here has always been awesome. From like you said, I had a big following back in Cage Warriors. I fought in front of 5,000, I think it was, in the ice arena in Wales, and it seems to be getting bigger and bigger. And it'd be great to bring it back to Wales one day and sort of have the fans. That's why I was looking forward to London so much, because it's as close to an home show for me as I'm going to get. It's only 3 hours up the road. There'd have been a good couple of thousand Welsh that would have been keen to go and make this South Yard if it was in London. But the support is unbelievable. Obviously, I can't thank everyone, especially in my little town of Abertillery. It feels like the entire town was out supporting me Saturday night and watching me. The amount of videos and pictures I got sent of people meeting up in the pubs and the local clubs to watch me fight was awesome. It was unbelievable.
I'm a glass half empty kind of guy. I'm a lamenter. I'm the kind of guy who's like, look at their lawn is nicer than my lawn. I can't get over the fact that this fight should have been in London. And then I see Leeds, and the crowd that they had on Saturday with Katie Taylor and Ben and Warrington. I was like, man, you guys deserved that. And so for you, obviously it didn't end well with Darren, but Patty and you and Molly and Tom, like you would have come across as superheroes on television with that crowd, with those people going nuts at the O2 or wherever it was. Pick a place, any city in England, wherever it was. Was that a bummer for you? Like, obviously you're not focusing on that on fight night, but when you look back, you're like, man, this shouldn't have been at the empty Apex or 100 people there. This should have been at a sold out arena somewhere in England.
Yeah, looking back, think how much bigger it would have been had it been in the O2 or Wembley Arena or even in the Echo in Liverpool, something like that, especially with Darren and Paddy and Molly. I think, like you said, wherever it would have been, if we could have just had 10,000 or 15,000, the atmosphere would have been incredible, especially for us British guys. I mean, it is a tough pill to swallow. Obviously, I've had 4 fights in the UFC now, and 3 of them have been nigh on in empty arenas between the Apex and Fight Island. So that was I was hoping that'd be my coming out party, taking all the Welsh there, having that big support in the arena, the big atmosphere, the big buzz. But obviously it wasn't meant to be this time. So, I mean, what can you do? It's like when you see these crowds for the boxing, I mean, Anthony Joshua's fighting now in, 2 weeks? He's going to have a mental crowd. It's like, how much longer have we got to wait before we can start enjoying and experiencing that ourselves? I know we got some of the crowds back in MSG and obviously for the McGregor fight and stuff like that, but it would be nice for us guys to get back to fighting in front of our local fans, as well as obviously, the guys at the Apex.
So you're a youngster, you're around, how old, 6, 7 when you start practicing martial arts because of your dad? 6. And it was your father, Richard, who got you into this, right?
Yeah, so believe it or not, I actually started training before my dad.
Really?
He took me, so he took me to a local kickboxing gym. Obviously, at that age, it was just getting me out the house. I expect trying to burn a bit of energy, stop me running right in the house. And he noticed when he got to the gym that they also did adults classes in Japanese jiu-jitsu and a little bit of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So within like 2 or 3 weeks, he had joined the club himself. Joe Duffy was training at the club. I think Joe was about 14 or 15. And he just fell in love with it, done a little bit of judo and stuff like that as a youngster, my father, but never anything serious. And he said, he went from training once a week to within 4 weeks, he was there 5-6 nights a week. And eventually went on there to open his own gym when I was about 12 years of age. And it's taken off from there, to be honest. I've been with him as my head coach, training under him and the coaches at our gym ever since.
Wow. What was he doing before all of that? Because obviously this became his life's work, right? What was he doing before that?
Just playing football, working in a factory and playing football. That was his. That was all he. Obviously, he run pubs and clubs and stuff in our local town. So he did a bit of judo and a bit of traditional jiu-jitsu stuff with some of the local doormen. But it was no real. He'll tell you himself. There was no real sort of instructor and student type of role. It was you just rocked up and practiced a couple of the moves you've seen on the UFC, on the VHS, and that was it. But that was his first taste, obviously, of true martial arts. Like you said, he's gone from being a guy who would like the thought he could handle himself, working the doors and stuff like that, to going into a gym and you've got 14, 15-year-old kids choking him out 5 times in 5 minutes. And he always said it, he'll either crush you and you'll avoid going back, or it intrigues you and makes you want to think, what's going on here? How am I getting beaten up by kids? And that's what I was. He just fell in love with it, and obviously then transpired and passed down to myself. And it was his life. He was out in the gym 5 nights a week, and I was there with him from such a young age.
At what age do you start to think to yourself, like, this is actually something I want to do for a living, that I'm going to be a pro fighter and make money off of this?
I think it was probably when he opened his own gym in 2007, I would have been about 12 or 13. And he had a good amateur team, a couple of them on the verge of going pro. And there was no kids class at the time. Obviously, MMA in Wales was not really heard of. You had your jiu-jitsu and your kickboxing and your taekwondo, but we were the only real MMA gym about. And seeing these older boys who in the town where I'm from, had this reputation of being the tough guys, and the street fighters, seeing them fight in a cage and turning professional and getting paid, although it wasn't a big amount, they were getting paid. I thought, I'm training with these guys every night of the week. I'd love to have a go there. And I started fighting amateur and doing my jiu-jitsu comps. And it was when I started to succeed as an amateur, I think it clicked a little bit. It was like, maybe I could make a career out of this one, turn pro and see where it goes. I mean, when I won the IMAF tournament, that was probably when it's sort of set in stone in my head that, I'm not gonna go down any other route here. I'm just gonna ride this till the wheels fall off. If I make it, I make it, and if I don't, I don't. And thankfully, I put myself in a position where I now do it for a living and do it full time. Yeah,
and you're very good at it. You're undefeated, like I said, 15-0, just coming off a great win this past Saturday against Ludwig Sholinian. You're just 26. You're a fit guy. You got the buzz cut. You're clean. You're 135. You're in shape. And so that leads me to wonder, Jack. I have somehow stumbled upon a photo of you from about 10 or so years ago, Jack.
Here we go.
And Yoon, if you don't mind putting this photo up, that's for the public. This is for you, Jack, right over here. I don't know if you can see that one.
No.
That's
the prom photo. That's the prom photo.
This is the prom photo, Jack, and it's a lovely hair cut that you've got, a lovely suit, and I'm just wondering, who this guy is.
Do it.
Yes, what is going on here, Jack? What is this look that we're rocking here? Because this look, let's get the photo back up there just for a second in case someone missed it. Yes, there it is. How do we go from that guy to this guy killing people in the UFC 15-0? Tell us the backstory behind this photo, Jack.
So, take away the haircut, but as a kid, I was, I just had, I didn't, as a kid, I was always fit and always in the gym, but I just never had great genetics. Probably wasn't the best with my diet at that age. I was a little chubby kid, to be honest, up until about 17, 18. And it was only when I started training at an amateur boxing gym where they were like, you need to get running and shift a bit of weight, that I started to lean out a little bit. But everyone always rips me for that haircut. But if I pull up my school photo right from that year, there's about 10 of us with the same cut, with the highlights and the fringe and the full head of hair. But my friends will be very happy you've pulled that one up and done me dirty with it. So
listen, I'm not. Someone sent it to me. I'm not scouring your Facebook. I won't say who it was, but they said be sure to ask Jack about this photo. And if I'm being honest, I was mesmerized by the photo, and I had to ask because the glow up, as they say, is real. I don't know if you guys use that term over there in Wales, but you have glowed up, my friend. I mean, that's a good look for back in the day. Rod Stewart's a legend. I mean, why not? Why not represent him? But I think this look for your career. By the way, if you fight with that look, you'd be very. Look what the hair is doing for Paddy right now. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, someone needs to tell Paddy I had the original blonde long hair, not the baddie. But he rocks it a lot better now than I probably would if I was to grow it back.
So this is a thing. A lot of people give you crap for that picture.
Oh, constantly. So I've got my friend Colin. He'll literally, every time I have a fight or his fight, he changes his profile pictures on all socials to that exact picture that you just showed. So it surfaces like multiple times a year. Then the memories start coming up on Facebook from my prom, and my mother will share it or my father will share it to get a little giggle out of it. And then next thing I know, you've got it live on you,
I'm sorry.
So it is what it is. I think I'll take that one to the grave. Maybe I'll bring it back one day. Perhaps when I retire, I'll bring the do back.
When you're inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame, you dust off that suit, that tux, and
I'll rock up the trophy with a big wig of hair.
Yes. By the way, one other question about your father. We don't see this a lot in MMA. You see it a lot in boxing. Father-son duos, fathers training their son. You don't see it as much in MMA for whatever reason. And I can imagine it's great at times, but also it's your dad. That's a different kind of relationship. Has it ever been? It's going great. You're 15-0, but to the point where you're like, maybe. I need some separation. Has it ever been difficult, given the fact that it's your father who's there in your corner as your head coach?
To be honest, we've got a good sort of dynamic in terms of when we're in the gym, we're fighter and coach. When we're out in the gym, we're father and son. We try to I don't want fighting. I don't want my life for my father to be fighting 24/7. So when I'm out in the gym, we don't go into depth too much, Obviously, when we got fights coming up and stuff like that, there's outside the gym stuff we got to do in terms of like looking at the opponent and game planning. But if I'm honest, because it's all I've ever known, it's never really. A lot of people say to me, "What's it like to have your dad in the corner?" But he's been in my corner for every boxing match, jiu-jitsu match, amateur fight, pro fight I've ever had. So to me, it's the norm. It's like. I don't know, it's sort of like your average fighter having their head coach in the corner then. It's like John Jones having Greg Jackson in the corner. It doesn't feel strange to him because that's what he's used to. And it's been the same with me. It's always worked and we have got our dynamic right. When I'm in the gym, I don't get no special treatment. If anything, I like to think I got worse than some of the other boys. He's harsher on me, in my opinion, than some of the other guys. Too much talk of fighting and sort of, it's like we're drilling technique in the house 24/7.
Right.
We when we're in the gym, we're working. When we're out in the gym, we just enjoy normal life, and I think that's why it works so well.
That is good. That is healthy. So we're awaiting word on recovery time, whether surgery will be needed and whatnot. I saw you throw out some names. You threw out Cody Stamann. Who else did you throw out? I think Marlon Moraes as well. Did you throw his name out? Or
what's his name? Song
Yadong, yeah.
Assuncao, I'd love to fight guys like that as well. Just those three guys mainly because of their position in the rankings. I'm not like I'm a realist. They're not going to chuck me in with a top 5 guy or a top 10 guy. I just need to get that opportunity against those guys who's on the bottom end of the ranks in terms of their number. That's going to put me in the mix. And I think a fight with any of those three stylistically would be a fun one to watch. And, especially after Saturday, I feel like I'm ready for that step up in competition now. Especially someone like Assuncao who's been there, seen it, done it with all the top names. I think he's 40 fights plus on his pro record, been in the UFC for God knows how long. So someone like that, I think, is the necessary test I know that I need now to prove to people that, I can school these guys who are lower down, but I can also compete and beat these guys who are the elite of the elite as well. And that's where I want next. That's what I'm going to be pushing hard for.
Long way to go. You're still very young. But when do you think you become the first Welshman to fight for a UFC title in your mind?
I like to think within the next 3-4 years, in an ideal world, I'm not, like you said, I'm 26. I'm not rushing things. I don't want to just be fast tracked up the ladder. I want to win my spot, in my stripes. I want, when that opportunity comes for people to look back and there be no argument that I deserve to be there and I deserve to fight for the title. So, like I said, if I can get out of ranking now, it's just a matter of climbing and fighting those top level guys. They're a different kettle of fish to the guys I've been fighting at the minute. You've got to prepare for them mentally and physically in a different way. They are the elite of the elite, and that's what I'm ready for. That's what I got into the sport to do. Even as an amateur, I envision fighting those guys. So 3-4 years, Ariel, providing all goes well, and no doubt there'll be a few bumps in the road, but I like to think I'll be the guy to challenge for the title first, especially from Wales. I like to think I'm leading the charge for us at the minute.
Absolutely, you are certainly that guy. Great to meet you for the first time, Jack. Sorry it took me so long to have you. It was tough in my previous life to have the guests that I wanted on, but it's a new day. It's a new chapter for you and I. I hope you have a very speedy recovery. Hopefully no surgery. You can avoid that, and we'll see you back in there maybe the early portion of 2022. My best to your father as well. I don't want to feel his wrath ever again. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're doing. And I hope one day that we get to see you fight for a UFC title and you can, give all the fans who have been supporting you for so long and having your back, because you really have a very loyal fan base. I love it. You can prove them right that you are worth following and supporting. So all the best to you, my friend. And thanks for coming on.
No problem, Ariel. Thank you. First of many, I'm sure. So
absolutely. Absolutely. I look forward to the next time. There he is. Jack Shore, kind enough to join us. You should remember that name.